A weekend of hope for homeless veterans, the San Diego event that matches services with the veterans who need them.
I'm really frustrated that the Republicans only want to talk to Republicans.
Searching for allies on the other side of the aisle. San Diego's delegation talks about the issues dividing colleagues on Capitol Hill.
I speak for the trees, but the trees have no tongue.
A classic Dr. Seuss tale comes to life at the O Globe Theater. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Family members and co-workers are recalling the professionalism of employees who were shot and killed at a Maryland newspaper. Despite yesterday's attack, the staff of the Capital Gazette put out a newspaper with comprehensive reporting on its own tragedy. A gunman killed 4 journalists and an assistant sales manager. Authorities and court records show the suspect, Jared Ramos, had a well-documented history of harassing the paper's journalist. President Trump expressed his condolences today.
This attack shocked the conscience of our nation and filled our hearts with grief. Journalists, like all Americans, should be free from the fear of being violently attacked while doing their job.
A judge denied bail for Ramos after a court hearing. Authorities say he was uncooperative with police. Jail authorities have placed him on suicide watch. Our coverage of the newspaper shooting continues on PBS NewsHour tonight at 7, right here on KPBS. Volunteers have transformed a high school field into a field of hope for homeless veterans. Stand Down San Diego is happening right now. Organizers expect to serve more than 800 veterans and their families this weekend. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh joins us from San Diego High.
Fire has just started up. This is the end of day 1 for Stand Down. It runs through Sunday. 31st annual Stand Down. You see a lot of veterans are coming in here to get services. There's a homeless court here. There's counseling. Folks, some of them are just standing down here and just getting a chance to rest and get off the street. And I want to come over here. Here is Dave Oscar. Now, sometimes people come from like halfway across the country for this, and Dave has been coming here for like 15 years. Dave, so tell me a little bit about Stand Down. What brings you year after year?
Well, I have family out here, but the biggest thing that's drawing is these vets. Seeing guys that are. I'm a vet. You know, I can relate to some of the problems they have and some of the issues. And what we do here at Stand Down is try to bring them up, acquaint them with their VA benefits, things that are out there, their entitlements as being a veteran. And bring them on. We
were talking a story that Stand Down, it's just, if people just want to come in and lay down, that's fine. Why is that?
Because this is a place to relax and settle in. And what we try to encourage them is to get off of those beds and go up there and take care of some of those services, medical, dental, you name it, it's here for them, you know. But if they choose to relax and relax in these things, we don't pressure them to go beyond that, you know. It's their choice.
It's just a chance to get off the street. All right, so to get a little bit of a sense of like how things have been going so far, we've got Kim Mitchell, who is the CEO of Veterans Village, which sponsors Stand Down. So Kim, how is it going this year? Numbers are actually down a little bit, aren't they?
The numbers are actually down a little bit. We're estimating probably 500 to 550 participants this year.
And so why is that? We've seen as many as over 1,000 here. Do you think it's some of this is we've seen there are services out there now? We're trying to get people off the street. Is it working?
I think it could be a combination of things. It was a little bit cooler this morning than it has been in past years. Also, it is payday, but there is definitely a coordinated community effort this time around with regarding to the temporary bridge structures, the coordinated of outreach and the services that are being provided. And there's a large effort in getting a lot of these homeless veterans into housing.
And so in the end, I mean, this has been going on for a while now, but what's the benefit of airplanes going overhead? Well, what's the benefit of having choirs, having all of these services all in one place just for 3 days?
Well, the benefit is it's kind of like a one-stop shop for these veterans that come in. If they need to go talk to people at Social Security, they can. If they need to talk to people at the VA, they can. If they need to go check in to be able to get a voucher to go see the DMV to get a driver's license, they can. If they need a haircut, they can. If they need to go take care of some legal issues, they can. Or if they just want to get 3 hot meals and be in a safe place for the weekend, they can do that as well.
There you go. Kim Mitchell, thank you very much. 31st Annual Stand Down. It's running through Sunday here at San Diego High School. Back to you, Ebony.
Thanks, Steve. Governor Jerry Brown wants business owners to hire more former convicts. Brown was speaking at the Sacramento Employer Forum today. He says hiring former inmates helps them, of course, but also keeping them out of prison benefits everyone.
They have gangsters that are there to teach them how to be even more antisocial and dangerous. We want to reverse that by giving people hope so that they can earn milestone credits, so they can earn the opportunity for a parole hearing, and also develop the skills, the drug treatment, the mental health programming, so they can have a chance to be better human beings.
The governor also says that while public safety is a top priority, society benefits more from rehabilitating criminals than from keeping them in prison. From immigration to housing, there are a lot of pressing issues facing Southern California. Today, San Diego's congressional delegation shared their ideas on these issues at the Chamber of Commerce luncheon. KPBS reporter Jade Hyman was there.
Talking with candidates about pressing issues in our region, they all toe the party lines, particularly when it comes to immigration. Even when it comes to separating children from parents at the southern border and reuniting those who were separated, there's more finger-pointing than there are solutions.
And this was done under previous presidents. Famously, people had children crying, and it turned out they were crying during the Obama administration that they'd used existing footage. So I think often what happens is...
Does that make it okay? I mean, what did you think about the separation of children and parents?
Well, I'm going to answer your question. I think the important thing is to stop making it a partisan issue. President Obama separated families in many cases.
Issa went on to say he wants to confirm those adults are the children's parents. And while Issa points to Democrats and administrations from years past, Democrats point to Republicans.
So I'm really frustrated that the Republicans only want to talk to Republicans. If they would just talk to some of us, many Democrats would support reasonable fixes on immigration.
Congressional leaders know they'll have to reach across the aisle for progress to be made on any issue, but are they ready to do that?
I don't think we're going to have a lot of things accomplished. I mean, I think that the Republicans are going to push a really hardcore right-wing Supreme Court justice, and I think that that's going to be poison for the system now.
There is at least one issue these representatives want to solve, and that's housing.
Just finding affordable housing here is really a challenge. Some of the ideas that people have don't necessarily create that housing, and so that's really the key. What is it that's going to take people to find ways of doing that?
Representative Duncan Hunter was also scheduled to be at the luncheon, but canceled his appearance. Jade Hindman, KPBS News.
Researchers in San Diego want to know how healthy the fish population is off the coast of California. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson says now they have a new tool to help them figure it all out.
2 drone sailboats are starting a journey down the coast that could make it easier and less expensive to find out the health of Pacific Coast fish stocks. Now, the craft are 15 feet long. They've got a sail that juts about 8 feet above the waterline, and they carry acoustic instruments that are designed to find fish. The Southwest Fisheries Science Center's Toby Garfield says sail drones could do mapping work that's currently being done by large research vessels.
What we're trying to do is use it in the shallower environment, the near shore, where you can actually measure the water column down to the bottom and see if it's got sufficient detail for us to use that to help with the fish estimates.
Garfield says the drones could reduce the need for more expensive research vessel-based surveys. Now, the craft are controlled remotely, and they can stay in the water on a mission for months. Garfield says 2 drones bound for San Diego will be launched from Alameda later this year. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
California is set to bring in billions of dollars from the newly legalized recreational pot, but not as much as some thought. BDS Analytics produces data for the marijuana industry. Researchers there say the state can expect to bring in about $2.7 billion in new tax revenue. This is about $1 billion less than other projections. According to the firm, the gap is due to the red tape involving licensing and local government bans. A guilty pleasure is safe from higher taxes here in California. Governor Jerry Brown has signed a bill banning new soda tax increases for the next 12 years. It's all part of a deal with the soda industry and a California business group. They have announced they will now withdraw a November ballot measure that would ask voters to make it harder for local governments to raise taxes of any kind.
The clock is ticking on reuniting families separated at the border. What now after Supreme Court Justice Kennedy announces his retirement? And a legal challenge to the Mission Valley Stadium site ballot measures. Join us for the KPBS Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
3, 2, 1.
Spacex is back at it again, launching a Falcon rocket this morning for a resupply mission to the International Space Station. The cargo this time includes a basketball-like robot to help with science experiments and treats like ice cream, blueberries, and coffee. This is the 15th resupply mission for SpaceX, which is based in Los Angeles County. Sunny, mild weather will follow us through the weekend. Plus, you'll want to pack your sunblock for the 4th of July holiday. Daji Aswad has more in tonight's forecast.
Warm weekend ahead, but we will be watching coastal clouds decrease because of the warmth. And as we head into next week, plenty of sunshine for your 4th of July. As our radar sits right now in the last 6 hours, not much happening across San Diego County. Pretty tranquil out there, but we will see the clouds return as usual as we head into tonight. Like we said, it will be less and less clouds as those temperatures begin to warm up here across the metro. Tonight cooling down to 64 in San Diego as we head into Ramona, low 52 and 68 in Barrio Springs, and clearer as always as you head away from that marine layer and that ocean influence. Here's a look at Saturday. There's that high pressure that's going to help things warm up here and dry out, keeping things sunny and seasonably hot out towards Southern California, dry back towards the Four Corner area for the weekend. And for tomorrow, our temperatures pretty normal here in the 70s for Oceanside, 71 in San Diego, 102 in Borrego Springs, always a little warmer out towards the interior areas, and 81 in Ramona. So if you plan to be outdoors for not only this weekend, but 4th of July as well, we're going to need the sunblock on deck. We're talking dry, sunny conditions for 4th of July here across much of the Southwest. And now as you head into the middle of the country, we're going to be warming up. And as you head further south and east, likely to see the chance for some thunderstorm activity. Just give you a heads up in case you do plan to travel to some family across the nation. As we take you into our extended forecast here, coast will continue to see low clouds in the morning. Once again, turning more sunny as we head into your early week forecast. Temperatures remaining in the 70s, warming up into the 80s inland for your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Low clouds, and then the sun breaks out throughout the afternoon hours. Plenty of sunshine for the mountains, topping off at 75 on your Sunday, remaining in the mid to upper 70s for your extended forecast. And if you're in the deserts, triple digits. Be sure to stay hydrated. I'm your meteorologist, Daji Aswad, reporting for KPBS News. Back to you, Ebony.
Artists from refugee communities in San Diego are sharing their stories through music. From the Media Arts Center, producer Mika Conke and Brian Myers show us how one group is helping them preserve their traditions.
In Iran, we have this tradition where poetry is as much part of a person as their very heartbeat. We tell poems in celebrations, in welcoming joy and sorrow.
My sister in Tehran, my best friend, my teacher.
It wasn't until recently that I got to reconnect back to my roots. And that's one of the things that we're doing with the refugees at this event, is reconnecting them with their roots.
World Music Day is a celebration of musicians and amateur musicians all over the world. It's also known as Make Music Day in the United States. It originated in France as an opportunity for people to get together and celebrate music as a community.
The Center for World Music is an organization that's been in San Diego for over 30 years, and we promote intercultural awareness through celebrating the world's performing arts traditions. We look outwardly toward the world's performing artists. We bring in artists from everywhere from Africa to India and China to perform for San Diego. Transformation through rhythm and word. It's a celebration of music made by refugee musicians in San Diego.
Having a community in a drum circle format where they can dance, tell their stories, and sing songs that they grew up with, that their ancestors grew up with. And something that connects them back to their home. Otherwise, you feel cut off from the source and you feel lonely, separated, and unable to rebuild your lives.
That story was produced by our Speak City Heights partner, Media Arts Center. You can learn more about the next concert season at cityforworldmusic.org. Imagine what it would be like to document the stories of the people who call San Diego and Imperial County home. As part of the Where I Come From series, the KPBS Explore Project traveled to 5 communities to learn more. Tonight, we look at what it's like to grow up in Oceanside and how communities can help kids thrive.
When I was young, I didn't really have very many people that reached into my world and just asked me and went beyond what they saw on the surface. The heart of the issue is their home life, what's happening there.
They have parents who are just working all day, and so after school, they have nowhere to go.
That's safe, where they can hang out.
Anything just to keep kids off the streets.
I would like to see more resource centers that are within the communities, walking distance.
If you give that generation a place to go after school instead of being in the streets, then you're going to see it progress and keep going in the right direction.
The top issues that I would really want the city leaders to address would be really the education system.
I'm a MiraCosta College professor. We're really trying hard to close the education gap.
But they lack opportunities that a lot of the other areas get.
Let's point to Carlsbad, where over 50% of Carlsbad have a bachelor's degree. Where in Oceanside, I believe it's
25.
Actually, yeah, closer to the 20 percentile.
I think if this was somehow like a hub for first-gen students, you know, first-generation students to be able to find mentors, to find community members that they can learn from.
If you want to see these kids thrive, we have to reach beyond the barrier of, let's say, a classroom, beyond the barrier of a badge, beyond the barrier of a political seat, a business owner, and we have to get into the heart of what is really affecting these kids.
The kids who are coming up right now, who are from these marginalized areas, I would love to one day have them, you know, of course, go get their degree, come back, and be able to vote for them. Be able to vote for them to have a school board position, be able to vote for them to have a city council position, to be mayor.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, White House Legislative Affairs Director Mark Short on the pending Supreme Court nomination, immigration, and more. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Maybe it's time to finally grow up. Today, Toys R Us is closing its last U.S. stores. This marks the end of an era for a 60-year-old kid favorite. At one point, the brightly colored logo and Jeffrey the giraffe were the markings of the go-to place for children's toys. But in recent years, the company has had a hard time competing with the likes of Amazon and Walmart, reporting a $5 billion debt. Now, 30,000 plus people are out of a job. Well, move over Grinch. This summer, the Old Globe is devoting its stage to a different Dr. Seuss character. Lorax is described as a family-friendly play. KPBS Arts Calendar editor Nina Guerin has a sneak peek from the actors who are bringing the story to life.
I'm here with H. Adam Harris, who plays part of the Lorax, and with Stephen Epp, who plays the Onceler.
I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs, what on earth is that thing you have made from my truffula top?
So first, will one of you please remind us about the story of the Lorax?
The story of the Lorax is really the story of the Onceler, a man who ends up sort of through the power and desire of capitalism cutting down all of these trees. The Lorax shows up to warn him that you can't cut down these trees, that you're endangering, our environment and where we are. And the Onceler continues to cut down tree after tree after tree until there are no trees left. And so there's a showdown between the Lorax and the Onceler, and the Lorax ends up saying, all right, this is what you've got. This is what you've left us with.
It's the harsh realization of our actions.
So, Stephen, what has the reaction been to the message of the Lorax?
You know, we would see a lot of kids after the shows. We would do autographs and meet people in the lobby, and it speaks so beautifully to a younger generation right now. It's a great show for all ages, for families, but the onus in terms of the message that I think Dr. Seuss was doing in the book, which is the hope is in the child, in the next generation, that maybe, if we're lucky, they'll save us. And it really comes through. It speaks very potently for everyone today. I mean, we can feel it everywhere. The world is in peril in terms of climate and environment, and that's really at the heart of what Theodore Geisel was doing.
And so his books were beautifully illustrated. I'll ask you, H, how does the magic of his illustrations come to life on stage?
There are a lot of different ways. I mean, there is the set, of course, which is sort of really sort of playing off of the image that you see in the original Lorax book. So the truffula trees descend and lift and rise. So you get all of that bright color in the costumes, and also, of course, in the puppetry. So we've got the Swami Swans, and we've got the Lorax himself, a puppet operated by myself, Megan Kreidler, and Rick Miller. And then we've got fish and all of this. So all of these sort of, the magical word of Dr. Seuss really sort of, it's almost like opening the book, and then there we are, sort of in your face on stage.
This question is for both of you. A big portion of your audience is children. So how does that affect your acting choices?
You know, I don't think you really, it's storytelling, and you can do Shakespeare for very small children if you do it the right way. You don't dumb it down, and you don't really play differently. You have to go at the characters and the storytelling with the same sincerity and investment and emotional power and efficacy that you would with any piece of theater. It's live theater, and whoever's in the room with you, that's who you're doing the show for.
Yeah, I think that there's sort of a, an idea that when it's children's theater that we're going to be doing things differently, but we're delivering sort of the same performances we'd give, committing to the character and what we're doing and why we're doing it. If anything, the stakes are higher, because the beautiful thing about adults, if they're bored, they'll just be bored in silence. Kids will let you know, this is boring. Kids will let you know, I don't believe it, and you're like, okay. So if anything, the stakes heighten, and so it's a greater challenge to us as actors than you might find in your there every day. And I also think that the story becomes so important, and the reason why and the sort of necessity of the story is heightened when there are children and families in the audience.
I've been speaking with H. Adam Harris and Stephen Epp from the Lorax. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me today.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Stay up to date on the San Diego arts scene with the KPBS Arts Calendar and our arts newsletter. Sign up at kpbs.org/newsletter. San Diego International Fringe Festival continues this weekend. It's a diverse mix of shows covering everything from dance to magic. Tonight, KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando brings us a sample from a musical mashup. This is from It's Wicked Wizards, a Potter parody. The Turning Tides group produced this matchup of the Wicked musical and Harry Potter. San Diego International Fringe runs through Sunday. Beth posted her guide to all things Fringe at kpbs.org. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Finally, we leave you tonight with the sounds of the band Pregnant, performing at Capitol Public Radio. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.